let's take a step back to process it, because I think this is, I think we're hitting 3 home runs here. Number 1, obviously, is niching down. Number 2, well, number 2 is people. Number 3 is processes. You mentioned it, like, and I have a few questions because specifically in tech, in security, like we have a marketing company, for example, we have a lot of SOPs, standard operating procedures. So that means the website comes in. The first thing we do is we crawl the website, analyze it, we identify what happens, if there's any broken links or stuff like that. We also have a tech company that works on product development, AI solutions. I find it more difficult to create standard operating procedures for that one than for the marketing. So I have a question for you in terms of your SOPs. You're working in a space where you're talking about, technology, hardware, software. You're talking about security, life-threatening actually. So my SaaS companies that are, that we're working with on development, yeah, they're important, but they're not somebody's going to die essentially. How does an SOP, how do you create an SOP that solves, that works in that type of situation? Like what's your trick? Like, is there an SOP, or do you still require some human in the loop, as we like to say nowadays with AI? Specifically, I'm asking this because a lot of people are trying to create SOPs and they feel like they're never good enough. I say, hey, you make it, and then sometimes you're going to have to add something. But how does it work with you guys, specifically with the high stakes?
I agree that SOP may not ever be good enough, but an SOP is better than no SOP, and you can always improve it. So we have SOPs for everything. For our testing, if I give a specific example, for a USB port on a device that we test, there's, I don't know the number of exact test cases. There's like 12 test cases, I think, where we have to plug different things in. We have to, power it off and on, and we have it very granular, like use this tool, use this device, and this version of the software. It's very specific what my testers do. But then, of course, we have to update that periodically because the tools change. There might be a new test case that evolves. But we are very specific. And I'm even specific on how we onboard a client, like what our kickoff looks like, what our emails look like, what our templates look like, how we even do sales. Like, what is that process? If someone scheduled a discovery meeting, what's the next thing we send to them? And it's templatize and then customize a little bit. And then when they're on the call, like what's the flow of that? And what's the process to get the proposal review call set up? Everything possible, I have tried to come up with a workflow and a standard operating procedure. And I think where a lot of people get hung up, they look at the technology first and try to make their procedures fit with the technology. The technology is irrelevant, in my opinion. It's like, figure the procedure out on manually, write it out if you have to. And then you can use Notion or Asana, whatever you want. But the more important thing is actually talking through and working it out and figuring out the actual workflow.
I think, the many times we changed software to manage tools, like it's project management software in the first year, like we went to Asana, then Jira, then back to Asana, then to Notion, then to Monday, then to Jira again. And then when we finally said, it's enough, we're going to stick with Jira. So software isn't the solution. It's the steps that you have to take, and then, make it work with what you have. I think a lot of people try to go too fine-grained is essentially what I'm hearing from you in SOPs as well. It's about the general idea. You expect the person to operate and has a certain training, a certain base, common knowledge, sense of how to work with things, fills in things, and obviously knows, if this pops up, I got to look at this, for example. But the SOP is basically a guideline of which steps to definitely take, and to warn somebody, hey, be aware of what potentially could come out of this, essentially, you're saying.
Yeah, it's like there's probably a standard operating procedure for performing heart surgery, but you still need a doctor there to perform the surgery. You need someone that understands the procedure itself, and there's going to be nuances that happen along the way. So it's not like, ideally, we can get the SOP down to where, I can hire a chimpanzee to do our testing, or train a dog to do it, but it's probably not going to get that far. That would be a goal, but I don't think that's feasible.